Similar shapes. Basically, all that it is that you take a copy of a shape, so that's what I did. This is the exact same size. This is congruent, right? And then similar is where we don't change the shape, we just change the size of the shape. And so we just bring it down. And so, we didn't change the shape, we're just shrinking it down or making it bigger. And that's how I made the similar shape over here to the right, okay? So um, uh, the sides are proportional to each other, and we're going to talk about that. I mean, let's take a look at the big one right here. Well, this is the big shape right here, and this is the small shape. Okay, this is the largest size, the largest side, excuse me, on the big shape, and this is the largest side on the small shape. And look, if you made a ratio out of it, you would see that, oh, it equals 2. 10 stacked over 5 would equal 2. 10 divided by 5 is 2. And the cool thing is we're going to get the same answer when we do the other corresponding sides. 4 would correspond to 2 because both of those are the smallest size. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And here's the last one. 9 would correspond to 4.5. And we would still get 2. So that's what we mean when the sides are proportional. And that's a really useful property of these similar shapes. Also, this angle right here corresponds to this angle, and they're exactly the same size. Same with the top angle here and here. These two are the same size of each other, and this one is equal to that angle there. Now, what we'd like to do though is that we like to take these similar shapes and we have one side that's missing, and we're like, hey, please go solve. And in case you're wondering, what's happened here is they took this small triangle, okay, and here we go. They took it, they copied it, they dragged it over here, made it a lot bigger, and then they rotated it around. Let's shrink that down just a little bit. There we go. So that's where this big triangle came from. Okay, it came from the small one, and that means that they are similar. It means all the angles are congruent. And now what we're doing is we're trying to use a little bit of knowledge here. Now I notice right here immediately on the small that it's got two 18s. Two sides are exactly the same. And I see that on the big triangle, it's got two 36s. So that means that those two sides correspond to these two sides. And that leaves one side completely left out, the 30 and the x. So you know how I like to set these up. I put the big on top and small on bottom, not because I have to. It's just a preference. And so the big is x, and the small is 30. That's what corresponds to the x. Now I just need to choose one of the other two sides that correspond to each other. This 18 corresponds to this 36 because remember it all rotated. So 36 is on top and 18 is on bottom. And now we can set up and do the cross multiplication to solve. X times 18 is 18x. 30 times 36 is 1080. And now we can divide by 18. And we find out very quickly that x equals 60. Okay? And let's stop and think about that. 60 divided by 30 is 2, and 36 divided by 18 is 2. So, I mean, that's one way that you can check is just stack the corresponding sides on top of each other and make sure that, you get the same answer. But x equals 60. So that's one thing that they love to do is they love to take a shape and then just like split it out and rotate it. Now, another thing like to do is that after they've made a similar shape is they like to take the smaller shape and shove it inside of the bigger shape. So we've got two triangles here. Triangle ABC is inside of triangle ADE. And this one actually makes it easy to see the corresponding sides immediately I see that CB corresponds to ED. So let's make a little bit of space here. The big one is over here, right? And this is with the smaller one, so x over 1 to keep my theme of big number on top and the small on the bottom equals, and let's take a look at this. I've got this right here. 2 represents AB, so that's with the small one. And I need to figure out from A all the way over to D. And you can see that I should put 2 and 1 together, so 2 plus 1 equals 3. And there we go. That's the representing the big triangle. And now we can cross multiply. 2x equals 3. And divide both sides by 2, and we get x equals 1.5. In the case if you're wondering if you got the right answer, here's one way that kind of gives you a clue if you're correct. This large side is 3, and the small size triangle is represented by 2, and 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Over here, we've got the large one as 1.5, and the small one is 1. Do the division, and you can see we get the same proportion, 1.5. Here's the very last one. This one's kind of tricky. Not a big fan of it, but it is what it is. In fact, let's change the numbers here a little bit to make it a little bit more interesting here. There we go. We need to find corresponding sides, and I think everybody sees that 5 would correspond to 10. So let's set this up, 10 over 5, okay? And on the small one, it's a 3, so I'm going to put a 3 on the bottom. But the problem is that from here to here is x, and I need to find that. But for the big triangle, it's really the x plus the 3. So guess what I'm going to put right here? And I just had to pause the video there. I was interrupted. I'm sorry. But we were just at the point of basically we needed to find out, this is purple, that's with the small triangle 3. And so 3 plus x, we would put the 3 and the x together to equal this up here. So 3 plus x together. Now, here's the great thing. You can put this in parentheses, and then you can still cross multiply. So 10 times 3 is 30. And 5 will be multiplied right next to that 3 plus x. So let me just write that right there so it's easier to show you the distribution. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times x is 5x. And now if you basically shut out everything else and just stare at that current equation, it's a two-stepper. Get rid of the 15 and then get rid of the 5, and you're done. So what we find is that this x right here is 3. And just as a way to check, hey, 10 divided by 5, because they're proportional sides, that gets us 2. That means that this 10 is twice as big as the 5. And then this 3 that's in purple here would sit on the bottom, and the 3 plus 3 would equal 6 on top. What's 6 divided by 3? 2, because this whole side is twice as big as the little purple pink side here of 3, the same way that this 10 was twice as big as the 5. So really, if they're just asking, hey, what's x, that's the easiest way, is just take what they give you and put it in parentheses, and then you can use distribution to knock that out.